I am live. How you doing? The light is terrible in here, isn't it? It's maybe a bit on the bright side, but there isn't anything I can do about it. Just dropping in to chat briefly about the radio show today, who's going to be on and what they're going to be talking about. First of all, how are you? Are you well? Are you having a good day? I'm very bright, aren't I? I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost there. It's because, in fact, give me a second there. I'm just going to close the curtains in this room. Hang on there. There you go. Right. Has that made any difference? No, it hasn't. Yeah, I think it's the light on this camera. Gary Lennon says it's windy in Wexford. It is, Gary. I've been following the weather in Scotland and in Ireland, and on the west of Ireland they've had dreadful weather as well. Is there anything I can do with this bloody is there? It's incredibly bright, isn't it? It's not a little bit better, is it? Let me take these glasses off. Not so much of a shine on me. The weather is bad. Yeah, it's been bad on the west of Ireland as well. Right. I want to talk for a second about Suzanne Small, who was on the programme yesterday. An extraordinary thing happened yesterday, as you probably know by now if you're a regular listener to the programme. Ian McKee, who listens to the show, tweeted a link to a video that had been put onto Facebook by Suzanne Small, a video that she made from a psychiatric hospital, a hospital in Farnham in Surrey, on Farnham Road in Surrey. I was really taken by what she said in the video, and I managed to get a mobile phone number for Suzanne, and I interviewed her. You'll know the story by now. The interview is on this channel, on this YouTube channel. She is a lucid, intelligent, articulate woman who had complained about the effects of Wi-Fi microwave technology on her and on a neighbour of hers. She'd gone to her doctor. She'd stressed to her doctor that she felt pretty strongly that the headaches that she'd been feeling were as a result of exposure to a new mast. Her doctor, unsurprisingly, wasn't sympathetic to her opinion, and she went away. And then she sent emails to her doctor with evidence that she believed proves or shows that this technology, wireless technology, is dangerous and is harmful. And later on, she was visited by a couple of healthcare people. She wouldn't speak with them. And then the following day, she was sectioned. She was taken to this hospital where she remains, where she is allegedly being evaluated. So huge response to that yesterday. And just very quickly, just to address a couple of things. The first being that I determined, after I recorded Suzanne, I determined that she was indeed a patient or a guest, an unwilling guest of this particular hospital. How I did that was I basically rang them, pretended to be a very good friend of hers, got the runaround. I was transferred from one place to another, but I was pretty stern. I've been doing this job a long time, and I've rung many places over the years, pretending to look, my face is bright, but there's a light on this computer. There's a light coming out of the camera. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't know how to work this. I normally do it downstairs. If I sit back from it, it's not so bad. So if I sit back, it's a bit better. Is that better? I'm hoping you can still hear me. I'll speak loudly or louder anyway. There's a big bright light coming from the computer. I can't switch it off. Right, anyway. So I determined that she was indeed a guest of this particular hospital. A guest, but she's there against her will. And she came on the program yesterday, and one or two people were suggesting that maybe she had a history of mental illness. I've said yesterday, and I say it again today, before putting the interview on YouTube, before putting it on the live Richie Allen Show, I asked her, did she have any history of mental health issues? Had she been sectioned before? Had she been treated for mental illness before? She said, I have not. under any circumstances. And she reiterated this to me again last night and again today. So there you go. She's still there, and she's been sending me text messages today. Not many. I inquired as to how her night was or her night went. And she said she couldn't sleep very much. It's noisy there, understandably, where she is. And she's looking forward to eventually being seen by somebody whom will hopefully say, well, look, you're obviously okay. You don't need to be here. And she can go home. So there you are. So look, due diligence was done. I confirmed she was in the hospital. She is. And I asked her if she had been treated before. And she said she hasn't. And I can only take what she told me at face value, number one. But number two, I made a judgment based on how lucid and how articulate she came across in her own video and how articulate she came across when she spoke to me privately. I'm not any expert. I can't say that I would know if I was speaking to somebody who had mental health issues. I can't say that because I would be being unfair. I don't have any expertise. I don't have any training. So there you are. I find her very credible. A number of you said that you're surprised that she was allowed to keep her phone. I asked her about that, and she said they didn't ask for the phone. That might be because she is there to be evaluated. She hasn't been taken there because, she's done anything, that she's tried to self-harm or that she's tried to harm anybody else. I imagine if she tried to harm somebody or if she tried to harm herself, I imagine the phone might have been taken from her. But that's not the case. And she seems to think that's the reason why she still got access to her phone and her charger. So there you go. Right? So I've had a couple of messages from her. I'll wait till I do the live radio show at 5 o'clock. She did send me a screen grab of an activity sheet of a day planner, a planner that the hospital gives to people for various group therapy sessions that are available and that she can attend. I think she was amused by that, but I also understand, as well as giving me that, I think she's also posted that on Facebook as well. It's a very disturbing thing. But again, I wasn't trying to, when I said yesterday, we can't be demonizing the doctor, I wasn't trying to be all kinds of things to everybody. I wasn't trying to be, I wasn't trying to be everybody's friend. In journalism, you have to be honest. You have to be fair. And you have to point out that people like you and people like me, we remain in the minority globally. Don't shout at me. Don't tell me people are awakening in their droves, Richie, because I won't argue with you at all. But people who are aware of the problems and the types of subjects discussed on programs like mine, people who are aware of those things remain in the minority. The majority of people think that people who talk about these things are tinfoil hat wearers. And her doctor would presumably have concluded that maybe Suzanne's a bit paranoid, a bit under the weather, a bit highly strung, maybe. And maybe the doctor felt she might be, she might be in a bad place at the moment. I'm a GP. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. So maybe I should recommend that she pops in for a couple of days, even if that is against her will. I don't agree with that, right? Don't hammer me. But I'm saying, don't think that everybody is Dr. Evil, that everybody's in on it. They're not. They don't know this stuff. They don't want to know, many of them. And that's their right as well. That's their prerogative, right? So, again, I wasn't trying to be all men. I wasn't trying to be, I can't remember the phrase, Jesus Christ, all things to all people. I wasn't trying to do that by supporting the doctor. But anyway, some of the stuff that I've said over the years on shows like the one I present would, I suppose, my old GP in Waterford City, she might think that some of the stuff I've said, some of the things I believe, might lend towards paranoia. No, I'm not paranoid at all. I don't believe. I don't live in fear. I don't live in paranoia. But I imagine that, my GP might have said some years ago, Richie's going down a strange road there, maybe he needs to see somebody. So you got to keep that in mind as well. I've been very impressed by Suzanne Small's demeanor and her good humor about this. I'm not sure the good humor will last very long if she doesn't get to see a doctor and be evaluated soon. So look, we'll wait and see. But she's got my mobile number. She's not just talking to me. She's got friends and family. Her mother is coming home from Spain to make sure she's being looked after there. So that was Suzanne Small yesterday, and of course I'll follow that up as best as I can. I'm glad that I was able to get her on yesterday. I am a bit disappointed, but not surprised. I did mention this on Twitter, that the UK independent media has not basically followed it up, or has not drawn attention to what's happening to her and to the interview. I have very strong opinions as to why that is, but I'm not going to share them now, nor ever. I've had my say about certain independent media protagonists before, and I've challenged some of what they have to say. I'm not getting into it anymore. I have no interest in it. But unsurprised, but also a bit disappointed that the UK's independent media have not shared the information that Suzanne Small shared with me yesterday. That's not good, but there you go. Now, coming up today, I'm going to be speaking to a trans person called Fionn, who dropped me a line and got in touch with me on Twitter. And I like Fionn. She's very interesting. She's got a very broad, a very open mind about misgendering and about gender politics and gender identity. And she's going to be talking maybe from a point of view that maybe you've not heard before, and she's going to come on the program. She's been very interested in this whole area of protection and safeguarding for women. She is a trans person herself, and I'm going to talk to her about that. I'm interested in the human interest angle. What's it like when you begin to think as a young person that you're not in the right body, that you're not in the right place, that you're not you're not male, you're actually female? What's that like? How do you deal with that? How do you come to terms with it? What happens when you go through that process? I want to talk to her about that, but also get her opinions, because her opinions might surprise you about this gender row, feminists against trans activists. She's got some interesting opinions there. So I'm looking forward to speaking with Fionn later on. And Steve Malloy is coming on the program. I tell you what, dear listener, we're moving up in the world. Steve Malloy is a very interesting man. He's worked for the Trump administration, the EPA transition team for Trump. Now, the EPA is the Environmental Protection Agency. Steve is a bit of a big cheese, a huge cheese, as Krusty the Clown once famously said in an episode of The Simpsons. Now, Steve is an author, and he's a lawyer, and he used to work for he's an ex-coal executive, so he's worked in the coal industry, and he's also been a regular contributor. He's been a regular contributor to Fox News. Steve doesn't believe that man's activities are contributing to climate change. Unsurprisingly, he doesn't think that, but he's very interesting, Steve. He's a great talker. Of course, we'll say to him, Steve, you work for coal, and you used to be an executive. Of course, you're going to deny climate change. But look, everybody knows that my opinions would be very much aligned with Steve's. But we'll put a couple of counterpoints to him. As usual, the Greens and the Friends of the Earth won't come on. We're not coming on to speak with you, you climate change denier, hoaxer, you. And I'm like, please come on. I've had Piers Corbyn on before. We love Piers. Please come on. I'll chair, I'll moderate, I'll keep my opinions out of it, and I'll give you equal time. But these Snowflakes! Snowflakes is what they are. These hysterical feckers who can't bear to be in the same room with somebody who disagrees with them. These progressives, they don't want to talk to anybody. So I can't present that side of it because they won't come on. So I'll throw a few questions at Steve, but I think he'll be well able for it. So Steve Malloy joins me, and Fionn joins me as well. Just to give you Fionn's proper surname, it's Fionn Orlander. Fionn Orlander. She joins me as well. I think it's a mixed bag today. I think it'll be a good show today. And I have a hairy face there, Kelvin. Hugh, I do, yeah. It's my wintry face. I'm gorgeous, aren't I? He of no hair and a beard. The beard makes up for the baldy bunts there. So there you go. So Steve Malloy is on. Hi to Jodie Leslie there, to Chrissy. Baby's feelings hurt. Yeah, that's right, yeah. We live in this world, you know. It's when I went after a few months ago, you might remember I went after the methodology of people like Vanessa Beeley and others who'd been on my program. It was never personal. I don't know these people. But I found some stuff pretty, you know, I found some very interesting things that some of these people had been doing, and some of the things they've been saying about Bashar al-Assad and others. And I challenged it. I challenged their credibility as journalists, even if I support the government of Bashar al-Assad, which I do. I make no bones about it. And the Russian conduct in Syria, I support that as well. But I took on some of the independent media and their alignment with the Assad government and their lack of objectivity. And they absolutely melted down. That's what these people do. And I've said to you 1,000 times before on my program, treat the independent media with the same scorn and with the same incredulity as you do the mainstream media. And that goes for Dickens here. Don't take anything I say as face value. Ask yourself every time you hear something on the Richie Allen Show, why did he bring that person on? What's he thinking of there? Why did he say that? Don't take it as fact. You know, treat me as with the same skepticism as you would treat anybody else or the BBC. James doesn't like change. Change has come to the Richie Allen Show. Look, tomorrow I'll go back to the room downstairs where it's a bit better and this light won't come. I can't do anything about that light. So that is the end of our daily chinwag today. Hi to Jake Crane. Hi to Tez Howell, who's my best buddy here in Manchester, in Salford. How you doing, Tez? And that's it then. Joseph is in Delaware, Water Gap, Pennsylvania. Good man. Listeners and viewers from all over the world. Right, so join me live at 5 o'clock. It's on richieallen.co.uk, Fab Radio 2, Cogent Radio. Download the Cogent Radio app. Tune in radio and all the rest of it. I will be with you at 5. I'm going to close off this stream now. And I will have an update, as I said, on Suzanne Small and some of the text messages she's been sending to me. Hi to Star Child in Liverpool. Liverpool. I'll say no more. Can't say any more. Cornwall there, Gail. How you doing, Cornwall? Leck is in Virginia. And hi to Ricky as well. That's it, right? I'm getting out of here. I have work to do. There's been an update on my car crash. As I expected, my car has been written off. It was totaled, as you Yankees say in Yankee land. It was totaled. I'm a little bit gutted. I love that car, to be honest. But the car has been smashed up. The other side has conceded liability. At some stage, I'll get a check and I will just go and get myself another similar car. But I'll miss my old Ford Focus estate. I love those old cars. So there you go. Tez asked me, what are you looking to get? Well, I'm on a budget, Tez. They'll give me a check for the market value of the car that was destroyed. I'm on a budget, so I'll have to work within that budget, of course. I'd like to get a brand new Mercedes S500, £80,000. V8 5-litre engine, but I can fucking dream on. No brand new Mercedes for me. I'll be getting probably a 6-7-year-old car, 1.6 litre automatic, probably with 70,000 miles on the clock. And I'll have to be thankful for it, is what I'll have to do. The dog, of course, always comes into the equation when getting a car. Aston Martin, says Gail, yeah. Terry Senior's Beamer has sold. That's it, the white Beamer. I'm glad to hear that. I'm not getting into this fucking conversation. I've got to go. There's work to be done. I'll speak to you at 5 o'clock. Usual time, 5 and 7. Richie